Part 2. Shade Academy. Chapter 7. Within Walls Again. To say their living quarters took some time adjusting to was an understatement. Havalai didn't know any of these people, and now she had to share a room with them. Necessity for space was one thing, but this was almost embarrassing. She had never spent more than a single day sleeping in one place before moving on since she could walk. Now they would all have to get used to coming back to the same place. Gideon didn't seem like the social type, and his discomfort matched her own. Daniel had become quiet ever since they entered the building. The only person who seemed to accept their surroundings was Olivia. Deciding to take charge, Havalai began to set boundaries. "We're obviously all not used to this, but we might as well make this work." Looking at Daniel and Gideon in turn, seeing that they had their own reasons. "Where did you usually sleep?" Daniel didn't answer. Gideon still had his visor down, so he was unreadable. Olivia spoke first. "I just looked for warm spots. It was easy in the desert. Do you think I could lie down in front of the window?" Her excitement seemed to relax Daniel and gave him room to speak. "I don't think you have to do that anymore. These soft white boxes are beds. You lay on top of them and they warm you up." Olivia's attention locked on them, suddenly aware of their purpose. She walked with her eyes as wide as they could be opened, reaching out with a longing she had only recalled when she had gone a week without food. "What have you done, Daniel?" All eyes went to Gideon, who only seemed to amplify the mood that was getting lighter by the moment. Still looking away, he contributed as much as Constitution allowed him to. "I prefer corners." Daniel, finally ready to talk again, picked up one of the beds and shoved it across the room to rest next to the door. "Say no more. You cover the exit. I'll take point adjacent." Havalai was lost in his vocabulary, but saw him simply shove his bed to the other side of the door and move to the last remaining bed. "I'll assume you want things to be symmetrical?" She merely blinked, waiting for him to explain his words with actions. Sensing the mood, he calmed down marginally for her sake and simply pointed to the last corner of the room left vacant. "Over there?" Letting the irritation pass, she allowed herself a small smile and replied, "Thank you." Looking over to the small room within the room, she decided to examine things further and began looking into the other objects in the room she would have to relearn how to use. Her tale was at rest once the noise of moving died down. Looking back, she saw Olivia all but consumed by the white box. Gideon was sitting on it, but not yet resting. Daniel began removing his makeshift armor and setting it on top of the wooden stands near his bed. When he began to remove his shirt, his eyes suddenly met hers, and another complication was realized. Letting go of the fabric and allowing it to rest again, he let out a small laugh and looked down. "It looks like we won't need to find new clothes anymore. Just maintain the ones we have. When you need to swap them out, just go into that room and close the door. We're fine out here for privacy." Havalai wasn't old enough yet to be persuaded by her hormones, but she was at least aware of the difference between her and the boys. Nodding, she retorted, "And can I expect those boundaries will be respected?" Daniel looked down at the knife that still hung from her waist and let out a low breath. Gideon was the one who spoke before a morbid side of Daniel was allowed to surface. "If you can trust us out there, you can trust us in here." Both looked his direction. Havalai and Daniel both nodded. Olivia began snoring, and all that remained of that evening was laughter.